Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for that introduction and such a warm reception. I think since morning, we've all been hearing about data, the importance of data. We were listening to things like data is the new money or new oil, and today I got to know another thing is the new feedstock for innovation from Naveen. So data is probably the most important thing when we talk about any digital transformation, right? And, we've seen, and this is some statistics on board, where, in the last 2 years, data has almost doubled, and that is more of the industrial data. We've been seeing data from IT and so many other areas which is coming up, and a lot of analytics is done. But when it comes to specifically the industrial area, the data is now starting to come up, and after COVID, post-pandemic, there's more and more data that is getting generated, right? And this is going to be true in the next couple of years. Again, data is going to get doubled. So we are going to look at a huge volume of data, huge velocity of data coming in. But the other important aspect here is, though we are generating so much of data, most of the data goes untapped or unused. This is a statistics from Seagate where we see that almost 68% of data goes unleveraged. Either we are not able to tap that data, that is, we are not able to get even to the source of the data, or we are capturing the data and we are not able to use it for whatever reasons, right? It could be because of they are operating in silos, or the quality of data is not very good, right? So there are challenges that comes up when it comes to usability of data as well. Just to give a food for thought, right? Everyone would know Google Map. You would have used it at some point of time, right? Google Map has probably changed the way how we commute. So it's made a big difference in life, right? How we use it, right from knowing if I want to move from one location to other, I can exactly predict how much time it would take, what are the kind of traffics or obstructions I'm going to see, and accordingly plan how I can do it. And what makes Google make this accurate predictions? Over the years, what they've been doing is collecting data from different users. They've been leveraging other integrations like the weather conditions, the traffic conditions, probably getting insights from satellite images and so on. And putting all these things together and leveraging maybe the predictive analytics model, they are able to give you accurately, almost accurate, I would say. Most of the times you would know that, when Google is saying it's going to take X amount of time, you definitely would see that, happening. So this is where data has kind of changed how we, go in a day-to-day life. The same is happening, and we are all seeing in the industry as well, right? In the operation industries. So when we look at it, real-time operations data is becoming the lifeblood of our businesses. And we are trying to leverage the data to either optimize our productions, improve uptime, improve asset reliability, reduce the OPEX and CAPEX costs. We are looking at improving energy efficiencies, and most importantly, having that competitive edge when it comes to the competition, right? So data is very essential to be harnessed to improve your business. And that is what we've been hearing since morning, right? When you look at the AVEVA portfolio, I think Naveen covered this in the first session, where we have our portfolio right from design, operate, and optimize, right? But when you look at it in the foundation, we have the industrial information management layer. The reason why we have this as a separate layer is because we understand how important it is for having the data, good, clean quality, contextualized data. So in this session, what I'll try to do is focus on the industrial information management, where we're discussing about real-time operational data, which will be in context, which is self-service, and that is what we're going to talk. And for that, we have PI system. I think many of you would have seen in the booths behind. PI system is our enterprise operational data management platform. And the very important part with PI system is that you can drive a wide variety of use cases. So it's not just the data management, you can also drive a wide variety of use cases. And we were seeing, discussions happening in the panel where we were talking about safety and security, how we can operate our plants, within the safe operating envelopes, making sure that there are no major disasters. We are looking at energy utilizations, energy efficiency, energy monitoring was something which we were looking at. We also heard in one of the talk where, there are captive power plants, monitoring and managing those captive power plants in terms of heat rate and all of that also becomes equally important when it comes to effectively running your plant and managing your plant, right? And of course, process efficiencies, asset health, making sure we make the best use of our assets, and then quality tracking and regulatory compliance. So there are a lot of use cases that comes with data, and this is where a PI as a real-time operational data infrastructure helps you collect that data from the various operational data sources and enables you to drive these use cases. And I think in one of the panel discussions, we were discussing about cloud readiness, and here is where PI system as an enterprise data infrastructure provides you an hybrid solution where you can deploy the solution on edge, on your premise, or on the cloud. So you can operate it on a complete hybrid model, and thereby it supports a different kind of IT/OT integrations, IIoT use cases, and so on. Having said that, this is nothing new for us. This has been a de facto standard in the industry, and you can see most of our customer lists. These are some of the selected lists. Again, in India, we have a lot of customers, including SRF, DCM Shriram, and so on, who have been using this solution for a very long time, and they've been seeing benefits out of it. When it talk about business outcomes, these are again different buckets that we were talking about in terms of operations, in terms of maintenance and integrity, health and safety, and these are all customer references, customer stories that we have. We were having discussions around value. We have these ready references from these customers where they have shown how they have derived value from using our solutions, right? So this is where right from operations to maintenance to even R&D and integrations, batch optimization, we are looking at reporting, analytics, and so on, where our solutions have been used, put to good use. So now the important part is why real-time data is so important, right? And why we need such an important layer. And again, if you ask yourself these questions in the earlier sessions, we had the panel discussions and many other sessions. This point was time and again coming up. The need for good quality, clean data, and at a single location as a single source of truth. So when we are talking about getting insights out of the data, data has its own journey. It has to go from a raw data, which needs to be processed, where you bring in the contextualization, make it into more meaningful information, and finally into intelligence, where you can derive some value or meaning out of it, or some insights out of it. So when you look at the data journey, this is how it typically happens. But the problem here is we are dealing with operations data. We are dealing with sensor data or time series data, which is very unique in itself. Unlike your standard transactions data, which is in a tabular format and things like that, handling time series data is not as simple. And you need to look at it from the 3S, what we say as a 3S perspective, where we talk about the scope, we talk about the scale, and of course, security. So when we talk about scale, or when we talk about the scope, we are dealing with, data from different sources. You have your DCS systems, you have PLCs, you have IoT sensors, which are more newer technology. So we are dealing with legacy systems to the recent technologies. Then we are dealing with different kind of fidelity of data. You're having systems which are generating data in seconds, your systems which are generating data in milliseconds, or for that matter, some are generating even in hours. So there are a huge round of or huge gap in terms of how the data is getting generated. And then finally, you're dealing with not just real-time historical, but as well as future data. So this is where you need to put all of this together. And then when you're talking about scale, it's about how we can leverage the data, make it rapid in terms of not just storing the data, retrieving the data, making it more meaningful, bringing in context to it, making it more self-service where you don't need to just handle raw data. Just looking at raw data is not going to give you a lot of insights, where you need to make it more meaningful, something which is self-service, something which is more analytic ready. So that is where we need to deal with the scope part of it. And of course, when we are dealing with core industries, cybersecurity becomes absolute essentials, because you're talking about integrating different domains. You're talking about integrating your OT to IT, and we also were speaking about the third domain, which is the ET, engineering technology, where you need to bring in all your engineering related data. So you need to put all of this together, and we also need to deal with data in rest. We need to deal with data in motion. So cybersecurity also becomes a very, very important aspect. And of course, you also would have heard Naveen speaking about sharing data across community, which also involves a lot of cyber security part of it. And then the other challenge when you look at any organization, and this is what I was getting a feedback when we were having discussions in the demo booth, getting data, you have different data sources. There are multiple operational data sources in the plant, SCADA systems, PLCs, IoTs. Then over the years, as organizations mature in their digital journey, they have implemented multiple systems. These systems could be historian systems for asset reliability, your ERP systems, MES systems, LIMS systems. Maybe some companies have adopted data lake strategies and so on. So there are multiple systems which get deployed over the years. And then the consumers of data. So when you're talking about the consumers, you have different personas within the organizations whom you need to service the same data to. These could be your CXO level people, these could be your plant heads, your maintenance team, your operations team, your performance team. So all of these personas within the organization, the same data but represented in different formats. And what happens over the years is, when you want to get some meaningful insights and make this data available to the different personas, you end up creating this kind of a complex network or a complex structure where there is duplication of data, there is crisscross of data, and this eventually becomes an IT nightmare. Managing this from a cyber security point of view, and also nobody knows which is the single source of truth. You never know which data to rely on, and if there is some issue, where is that you need to go and address that. So basically we are talking about data governance, and all of these comes as a big issue. So this is where we as AVEVA, we take an infrastructure approach. We try to simplify these things by bringing in our infrastructure, which is the PI system, where we make sure that whatever data is getting generated in the operations side of it is made available to the right person at the right time in whichever format they wish to, in a standardized manner. So what we essentially do is collect the data from the different data sources. We not just store the data, so not just being a data repository, but we also enhance the data, so transform that raw data into meaningful, actionable information, and then make it available to different personas and different stakeholders within organization for whatever reasons they would want to consume this data, be it from a visualization perspective, be it from analytics perspective, or for that matter reporting or other integrations. And as I told you, we have the end-to-end solution, a comprehensive solution which can help you deploy the solution both on premise, on cloud, or on edge. When you look at it from a components perspective, we have the edge, where we have the edge data stores, where you can deploy the solution at the edge and then collect data from all those remote locations or places where you have not reached with your control systems and so on. You can collect that through our edge devices. We have the on-premise Pi server where you can collect the data on-premise, and then we have ADH, which is our cloud data offering, that is a software as a service offering. And through this, you can accelerate time to value by deploying different kind of use cases. As I was telling you earlier, it could be from sharing of data to different partners, to driving different advanced analytics, AI, ML kind of use cases, or deploying on-premise analytics and so on. So when we talk about the AVEVA Pi server, which is our on-premise offering, and this is probably one of the most matured product which is available in the market, right? And this essentially, when you look at it from a collect standpoint, right, we have interfaces and connectors which are able to collect to almost all your operational data sources. Be it your OPCs, be it your Modbus, be it your electrical systems, IoT sensors, your other databases, or for that matter, even if there are no sensors, you can even manually enter the data. So for us, collecting the data from the operational data sources is not a challenge. We are very good at it, and that's where we have spent our almost 40 years of experience developing out-of-the-shelf standard interfaces and connectors. If you see, we have almost 225 plus standard connectors which are available, and we still keep adding on to it. So it can also support legacy systems and so on and so forth. And as you can, I can tell you that the best part about this is you don't need to know any programming or coding. It's simple configuration. So once you configure, you can start taking data and you are up and ready to at least start visualizing the data. So time to value becomes very fast. And the other part is we transform that raw data into meaningful information. And here is where we have the Pi server where we can collect the data, right? When we collect the data, we have a data archive, which is an integral part of the solution. In the data archive, you can store the data for almost, complete life cycle of the assets. Typically, in chemical plants, you would have assets which are almost 25 years, the life cycle. So you can have the data archive storing data for almost 25 years, that too online, without needing to, keep it offline and then retrieve it. So for us, accessing a data of yesterday as against accessing a data for a day of 10 years back is going to take the same time. So I would say the data archive is probably the best in class time series database that is available in the market, and we are very good at it, and it can scale up to how much ever tags you want. Typically there is no limit. We have customers who have almost have 20 million tags in a single instance, right? So it depends on the hardware, which becomes a limiting factor there. So we can store the data at whatever resolution it is getting generated. So maybe data getting generated in microseconds, milliseconds, seconds, so without compromising on the resolution of data, we are not going to summarize the data. We have a very good encryption and encryption technology, plus we have compression technologies that we use, through which we are able to optimize on the overall size or the hardware footprint that is required to store this huge volume of data. And then the data archive is just storing the raw data. On top of the data archive is where we have our secret sauce, which is our asset framework module. And this asset framework module will help you, contextualize the data, make it more meaningful in terms of creating your plant asset hierarchy structures, and giving it more easy to use naming conventions, right? And you can also templatize all your assets which are there within your organization. So once you templatize, it is very easy to roll out to multiple assets which can follow the same template. And not just that, you can also bring in metadata, things like your design data, things like your nameplate details and so on. And once you have all this data in the asset framework in a contextualized, organized manner, you can then build, analysis on top of that data. And you can see the layer, asset analytics layer. This is our real-time streaming analytical engine through which you can do a lot of real-time calculations. You can do condition assessment of assets. You can build real-time KPIs. You can do pretty much almost all the complex calculations and formulas that you need to build. So, you can do a lot of stuff which actually enables you to drive a lot of use cases. And then we have event frames, and this is again a very powerful layer. We were talking about managing batches and things like that. So event frame is a layer which helps us do that. One is managing batches. It also helps you track downtime. It helps you track, critical happenings in the plant. Anything which has a definite start time or an end time. Let's say, for example, startup of an equipment could be event frame here. And what we do is by enabling us to capture these event frames, we can then drive a different kind of analytics around it. You can even use it for shift performance tracking and so on and so forth. And then the last layer that we have is the notifications layer. And this notifications layer enables you to send out notifications in the form of emails, SMSs. So nobody needs to sit and continuously monitor the system. The system will be doing the monitoring for you, and whenever there is an abnormality or anomaly, it will send out a notification to the concerned person in whichever. And this is not just a simple notification, right? You can embed a lot of content into the body of the message. Things like what happened, what are the next steps that you need to take. You can embed reports or any kind of photographs along with it, troubleshooting guidelines. All of this can be embedded within this notification layer. And this also can be used to automate your workflow. Say, for example, you want to create an automatic work order in your ERP system. You can use this notification layer to trigger an automatic work order in your ERP system, because you are able to send all the relevant information that is needed to create this work order. And then finally, when we talk about visualization and delivery, we have, PyVision, which is our web-based visualization tool. And this is again a self-service, easy to use tool. So anybody, who has basic computer knowledge can create their own set of dashboards. They can, visualize the data on real time. And this supports for mobility. That means, you can open it on your mobile, on your tablet. So you have access to data on the go. And then that is one of the very good feature. And you can create graphically rich dashboards. You can create, visual representation of your plants. Whichever thing you want, you can actually create that. And then this is another tool which is very popular with engineers. This is the data link. This is an Excel add-in. So using this tool, you can leverage the power of Excel and create your own set of reports and different kind of calculations and create. It's more like a self-service reporting tool. And then comes the important aspect is in terms of integrating with the enterprise systems, IT systems. For this, we have the integrator for business analytics, through which we can export the data in a GUI format to any external systems which can consume it. So typically when people use Pi system as a gateway to cloud, they leverage the Pi system for business analytics, and then they start sharing the data. But this is only one way, a unidirectional flow, that is from Pi system to external systems. When you want to have bidirectional exchange of data, we have Pi system access, which can take in all data from different systems and then share the rich contextualized information to external systems in various protocols. It could be on .NET, it could be in form of a RESTful API, or as an SQL client, or you can send it in a form of, or the Pi system can act as a OPC DA or a HDA server. So in a nutshell, this is how the entire Pi system on-premise looks. You can collect the data, store and enhance, and finally deliver. So this is one comprehensive solution which takes care of all the end-to-end requirements, right? So that is where, it's not just a dashboarding tool, it's not just a historian, it's not just a data collection agent, it's a complete end-to-end package that, helps you enable the full potential of data. And of course, when you talk about security, what we do is we make sure that any data requirement is serviced by the Pi system, thereby reducing the access to the actual control system and leave the control system to do the work that they are meant to do, that is controlling of the plant, right? So thereby you are restricting external access onto the control systems, and only those who are nominated or trained to operate the plant are working on the control systems. And for all data requirement, Pi system is the one which is providing data. And then when we talk about the AVEVA Data Hub, this is our SaaS-based cloud offering that I told you. And the best part is, the same tool, data from on-premise can be sent to the cloud, and you can then leverage the power of the cloud and start driving different kind of use cases around advanced analytics, remote monitoring. You can use it for sharing it with external customers, or creating a connected community kind of a scenario. And since this is a software as a service, completely managed and maintained by us, and for customers, the benefit is time to value becomes very fast. You can start spinning off different kind of use cases in matter of few days as against months together. And then similar to the Pi which is on premise, there are different layers which are there as part of the AVEVA Data Hub. Important thing to notice is, when you typically deploy or go for cloud kind of a service offerings, you need to stitch together multiple microservices to achieve these kind of functionalities. And to do that, you will have to hire an IT expert who can bring up, integrate all of this and give you a complete solution. Whereas here we are giving you the complete solution, so you don't need to do anything. You only need to focus on leveraging the data and build your own set of analytics. In addition to that, in the cloud also we offer our visualization, which is data visualization through AVEVA Connect. So we call it the AVEVA Connect visualization. Again, here we are not just dealing with the Pi data, we can also bring in your engineering data, your 1D, 2D things which are there on our AVEVA Connect platforms. So all the data which is going to come on our AVEVA Connect platform, the data layer is going to be the Pi Data Hub, AVEVA Data Hub, and then the visualization will happen through our AVEVA Connect visualization. So it's going to be a comprehensive end-to-end. And again, the advantage with this is it is self-service, and you can define roles, user-based authorization, and giving access to external. So this is where our connected community kind of thing comes up, where you can access data from anywhere and from any external network as well. So what we have done as AVEVA is we are now offering this, all of this what you saw just now, as a complete data infrastructure offering. It's a new transformational hybrid offering that we are giving, where we are bundling all of this together so that customer can realize the full value and potential of the system. Be it on premise, on cloud, and the customer can start leveraging the complete functionality of the system and take advantage of the new AVEVA Connect platform that we are building. Right, and this is completely subscription based, so you are always up to date with the latest offering that we have. So essentially what we saw is, whenever we collect data and how we transform the data into more operational efficient insights is, we take the raw data, we store it, we can store volumes of data together, we add context to it so that, the raw data becomes more meaningful. We transform that raw data into actionable KPIs by using our real-time asset analytics layer. We kind of pinpoint exactly where the issues are through event frames and create your slicing and dicing of data on real-time basis. And then finally send out alerts to the right people at the right time so that everybody can come to know what is happening. And the next step to this would be, advanced analytics. Now you have data. Now how do you further make, more value out of that data is by building different kind of advanced analytics predictive models. So for this, we have advanced analytics offering in our cloud, that is AVEVA Connect. And you can drive different kind of use cases. Again, things like predictive quality, predictive throughput, where you can, actually identify the production rate and predict the quality and so on, as well as predict energy efficiency. So this is again an offering that is available, which can be leveraged to further enhance the data. And as most of our solutions and product, they are very, very user friendly and meant for the operations engineers, right? And it's not something for data scientists or things like that, though they can also leverage, but we have tried to make it so simple and easy that anybody with basic understanding of the data can start using these tools and derive a lot of value out of it. So this is what we have to say. We were in the earlier sessions talking about value, how do we start, what do we do. So what we say is, you need to simply start. You need to start at some point of time, and you can start small and then move. Like Praveenji mentioned, you need to start crawling and then walking before you start running, right? So, identifying the value will come, but these are basic hygiene that every organization must have. And if you don't have it, that is where the struggle comes in your digital transformation. And Pranamji mentioned, you should look at it from, not crores of rupees. You start off with a single rupee, lakhs, and you will eventually start, getting value from the systems as you start using the system. Because, without you starting the journey, nothing is going to happen. And here are some of our examples where customers have seen real benefits, and probably you can come in the discussion booth and we can throw more light on these things. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going in detail on all of this, but you can see the kind of benefits customers have seen. This is Air Liquide, where just by deploying an algorithm to compare your real-time data with historical data, they were able to almost, have savings almost 10x times, what they had invested. Similarly, BASF, they have created a central reliability center for remote monitoring. Again, the challenge that they had is they had a lot of siloed system, manual data entry, but when they deployed our solution, they were able to monitor and manage 2 data centers, monitoring almost 17 plants with almost 65% of process machineries. And what benefit they started having is standardization, transparency of asset utilization, and again, when you're dealing with multiple enterprise level, the best practices doesn't get restricted to one plant. You are able to share this across multiple plants. This is China National Blue Star again. You can see by changing their processes, by implementing PI systems for data collection, they've been able to save almost 200,000 per year in just Steam. So again, important aspect is we need to understand what our challenges are, what our problems are, and then approach accordingly. Data is there in the system, and the system will enable you to drive different kind of use cases. So once you identify your pain areas, you can use this platform to address that in a data-centric manner. Yeah, and we have plenty of examples with respect to reduction in energy and CO2 emissions. This is Covestro, where they were able to reduce their energy consumption by almost 30% and also 39% emission reductions. Lubrizol, again, very interesting use case where their challenge was batch-to-batch variability. And by deploying the system and using event frames, the functionality which I spoke of, they were able to reduce this batch-to-batch variability by almost 56%. And yeah, there is again Bayer. Again, this is a use case around energy efficiency and energy performance improvement. So yeah, I think I've almost come to the end of my presentation, and this is the late Dr. Pat Kennedy, who was a founder of OSIsoft. He was a visionary, and what his, I quote him that operational data is a unique resource. The more people use it, the more valuable it becomes. So yeah, my advice to you is all go, there is data, let's start using it. Thank you.